Yeah. So previously we discussed about the blue and green deployment models, right, guys? And so the Kubernetes deployment strategies. So what are the strategies, guys? Deployment strategies, guys. Practicing or not? So deployment strategies. What is the deployment strategies, guys?
Rolling update and recreate one.
Very good. So recreate,
Recreate and
rolling, rolling.
update.
Yeah. So recreate means it will create one by one. Recreate. It will delete every. It will delete everything and create once. Right. Here a recreate here. Something like there is a application downtime. Right. There is a application downtime here. There is no there is no application. There is no application downtime. So there is no application downtime. Guys, understood? So this is nothing but a Kubernetes deployment strategies. Kubernetes deployment strategies. Mm, mm. There is a, let me open PPT, guys. The configs and maps, right? Last time we discussed about the configs and maps, deployment strategies, rolling update, green and blue. Yeah, green deployment model. So what is a blue and green deployment model? So we already discussed it, right? There is a two environments. So development procedure also we discussed. Yeah, the last. Yeah. So what is that config map and secrets? So what is this config maps and secrets? Config maps and secrets. For example, I will show you guys. Yeah. First I will discuss this one and then later I will show you. Yeah. So config maps and secrets. For every application, multiple environments be available for testing purpose, right? For every application, multiple environments will be available for testing purpose. Dev environment, set, UAT, pilot environment, staging environment, pre-production environment. Once the application testing is completed in all the above environments, then it will deploy into the production environment. Production environment is nothing but a live environment. Note, for every environment, application properties will be different. So what is application properties, guys? For example, database properties or Kafka properties or SMTP properties. These properties will be different. What are those properties? So what are those properties? I will check GitHub Yeah, for example, our application database properties. What are the database properties? Database properties are driver class name and URL. So the username and password. What is that, guys? Username and password is the so these are the something like so these are the sensitive information. We don't need to see this information because of so these properties are hard coded, right? These properties are hard coded. I don't want to hard code because of every environment the driver class, the URL, username, password will be changed. The username, URL, password, and the driver class. This will be changing in every environment. For example, non-production environment, production environment. They are not using the same same properties in the each environment. Same properties in the each environment. We need to separate it. We need to separate it. Yeah, I will show you. So we need to separate it. Something like these are the database properties, Kafka properties, every something like the properties will be changing from every environment. The application properties will be different from every environment, right? So we shouldn't hard code the application properties. We should not hard coded. What are the hard coded means? Hard coded means these are the hard coded properties. They are providing the username and password. So everyone can see, right? This information. This is the sensitive information. We cannot see this information. So because of this will not hard coded. This will not hard coded, and these properties will be changing changing from every environment. So every environment. For example, code, code and the properties, and then we'll create the var, and in the Docker image we will provide the var file. Then it will create a from the Docker image to we will run the Docker pod, right? Product services. So these properties, this Docker image, this is the one Docker image. This Docker image is for the sit environment. It is not it is not working for the dev environment because for example, this is the dev environment. This is the dev environment Docker file. The properties files, the properties are so these properties are in the dev environment, but in the sit, but in the SAT, UAT, and the pre-production environment, so the properties will be different, right? The properties will be different. These are the properties. Again, we need to go to the var file, change the properties, and create the var file Docker file, and this Docker file will be only for the sit. So again, same like and the production. Do we need to create a different Docker images for the every environment? Every environment. Guys, now you understood? The properties is changing, but the code plus properties are there in the var. But the properties are different from environment to environment. But one Docker image will not use for the all the environment because of the properties are different from the each environment. Guys, now you understood? Guys, guys understood?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah, so these properties are different from every each and every environment. But so we need to create a different Docker images for the every environment. Every environment we cannot use one Docker image from the all the environments. For this purpose, we need a config map and secret. So config maps. So config map and secret concept are used to avoid the hard-coded properties in the application. We can avoid it hard-coded properties in the application. Hard-coded properties in the application. The config map and secret concepts are used to avoid hard-coded properties in the application. Config map is used to store data in key value, non-confidential. Config map is used to store data in the key value format, key and a value. We will provide the key equal to value, and that is a non-confidential. So what are the non-confidential values, guys, here? Guys, so what are the non-confidential values and confidential values? Guys, tell me in this, what are the non-confidential and what are the confidentials? Yeah, the confidential values are username, password. Because of we cannot see the so the this will be non-confidential because of it will see everyone. But no worries if the see the if the people is seeing if the people is seeing these values, no worries. If the ping people is values, this no worries. But if you these if you see these two values is are the sensitive information. So we need to keep it in the encrypted mode, right? So this will not and this will not change it to the encrypted mode, but this will need to change it to encrypted mode because of everyone, developers are using, database people are using, everyone, DevOps engineer is using, and Linux administrator, DB administrator, everyone can see, right? We don't want to see this sensitive information. So this sensitive information will be keep it in secrets. This information is non-sensitive information will be keep it in the config map. So here, so the showing config map secrets are concepts are used to avoid the hard coded properties in the application. Config map is used to store the data in key value format, non-confidential. So what are the non-confidential values? These two are the non-confidential values. These two are the confidential values. Confidential values will be keep it in config map allows you to decouple application properties from Docker images so that our application can be deployed into any environment without making any changes for our Docker image. So for our Docker image, so every environment having their own config and their own config and secret, their own config and secret. So that config secrets will be used for the Docker image. Will be used for the Docker image. Config map allows us to decouple application properties from the Docker image. Decouple, not couple. Decouple from the properties from the Docker images that our application can be deployed into deployed into any environment without making changes for our Docker image. Note: config map will make Docker image as a portable. Docker image as a portable. Yeah, guys. So note config Mac will make Docker images as a portable, as a portable. Yeah. What is this GitHub hard-coded properties where Docker images a pod. So pod services. So for this each environment, we need to create a separate Docker environment because of the properties, hard-coded properties will be changing from each environment. That's the reason we need to create the Docker image for the every environment. That is not recommended. So that is not recommended. The properties will use the config map and secret it and create a different file and so we can provide the key value based. Secret is also one of the Kubernetes resources. Secret is used to store confidential data in key value format. So for example, password. Secret is used to store confidential data in encrypted format. So what is that, guys? Secret is also one of the Kubernetes resource. Secret is used to store confidential data in key value format. So key value format. So secret is used to store confidential data in the encrypted format. Here GitHub code dynamic properties. Here hard coded properties. Here dynamic properties. So where an image, Docker image, and pod. If the pod, so we can create the config map and secret AML files, manifest files. And So every environment having their own config map and secret. It will it will create the manifest file, and the pod is using this config and secret for the uh, for the for the data key value for the properties. Our app will read environment specific properties from the config map and secret. Guys, now you understood? Guys,
Yeah, bro.
yeah. So these are the configs and secrets. So config map manifest AML file, for example, API version v1 kind equal to config map. So config map metadata name equal to v Shopify. For example, this is the application, guys. So v Shopify db config map. For example, label a storage. What is the storage? V Shopify db storage. The storage I will tell you guys. Okay. Yeah, data. So data equal to DB driver name value. What is the DB driver name value? So what is the DB driver name value? com.mysql.cj.jdbc.driver. For example, this is the driver name. This is the driver name. So what is the DB server name value? We Shopify app DB service. And what is the schema value? We Shopify app. So what is the DB port? The port is 3306. Username password. So these are the username password. If you provide the config map, this is not recommended because of so this is the sensitive information, right? The sensitive information will be provided under the secret. So we can create another. So we can remove these DB username and password. So key and value. This is the key. This is the value. Key value based properties, right? Yeah. So we need to remove this, and so we can create the secret manifest file. What is that secret? API version v1 kind equal to secret metadata name v Shopify db config secret labels equal to secret v Shopify db config secret data. Here data same API version kind data, but here we need to provide the data. So data in the data, the value DB username value, DB password value, DB username value, DB password value. So did you get this? What is the username password, guys? Is it recommended to pass the username password in the secrets? No, we cannot pass the username secret. We can pass the encrypted username and password. For this purpose, we can use the base64 encode org. What is that, guys? Base64 encode org.
Encode
So it will encoding base
64
64
encoded.
encode or encode, whatever it may be, guys. Yeah, this is the website, guys. So this is the website. What is the username? Username is root. We want to encode the username. What is the username, guys? This is the username. So what is the password? Password also root. So we need to encode the properties. Same. Guys, now you understood?
Yes, bro.
If the properties are hard coded, we don't know. So what is the username and what is the password? Right? We don't know. So what is the username and password? That's the reason we are encoding the properties. We are encoding the properties. Now you understood, guys? This is the config file and this is the secret file. These files will be dynamically changing the values. This file. So every environment having their own data, their own config map and secrets. Their own config maps and secrets. Guys, now you understood? Guys, now you understood.
Yeah, bro.
So yeah. So example for the config map and secrets. So what is the example, guys? For example, this is the MySQL DB container. What is this? MySQL DB container. So this is the application container. So we can use these config map secrets on both MySQL container and application container. Right. So first create a config map. Yeah, we created the config map. Create a secret. Yes, created the secret and deploy MySQL DB container using the config map and secrets data. Yes, first we are creating the MySQL container. So MySQL DB container using the ConfigMap and secrets. Yes. So test DB is deployed or not. Yeah, we will test it. DB is deployed or not. So fifth one, deploy application by reading ConfigMap and secret data for DB properties. Deploy application by reading the ConfigMap and secrets data for the DB properties. So application deploy. Test the application deployment. So what is that? Test the application deployment. Yeah, guys, for this purpose, mm, right, we need to create a one application, database application, guys. Mm, Yeah, guys. So this is the Springboard MySQL Docker Compose application, guys. This is the Docker file and Docker Compose. This is the pom.xml, and this is. So we will try to deploy this one, guys. Okay. So we will try to deploy this one. Yeah, this is the Docker file, something like the target Spring Boot jar.ml, jar.ml. So encrypt Java Spring Boot .ml file, guys. So this is the file, and the Docker compose.ml. So the Docker compose.ml. Yeah, so this is the Docker file, guys. This is the a Docker file for version, services, application, Spring Boot, 8080 port number, Spring Boot number depends on volumes. So what is this volumes, guys? Volumes, I will tell you the persistent volumes. That MySQL DB image network environment, the password, MySQL root password, and MySQL database password, volume MySQL network, the Spring Boot, guys. The Spring Boot. The config files, the config maps will be created. What is this? This is a class path Maven, something like this is the Maven. So pom.xml, guys. This is the pom.xml. The pom.xml, we need to provide the Spring Frame application. So group ID and the version ID. So yeah, guys. So this is the application. So application will tell you one thing. Yeah, 1 second. I will give you that. So English, right? Yeah, guys. Auto scaling. So we will discuss about the auto scaling, right? Auto scaling. So install metrics API auto scaling. Yeah. For auto scaling, fk setup verify install. Um, mm, mhm, 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 mm. Yeah, before auto scaling, so we will deploy one thing, guys. Secrets and Yeah, the hard-coded properties. So the hard-coded properties are below manifest file. Yes, okay. Yeah, something like a config manifest a file. We already knows, right? Config map manifest a file. So in the config map manifest file, in the config map a manifest file, what you need to write, guys? We need to create the driver value, driver service name, right? So these are the names. These are the driver values. Yeah. So API version, kind config map, metadata, vShopy DB map, labels equal to storage. This is the storage. So driver name, driver service name value, driver schema value, driver DB port. So these are the hard coded values. These are the key value based. What is the key value? You are providing the DB driver name. So DB service name, DB schema name, DB port values. Right. We need to specify these values in the application, right? In the DB. So DB, something like the name and this is the a. I will give you 1 second. Oh. So this is the a file. This is something like a that is the config. This is the secret manifest file. So this secret manifest file. So for example, this is the secret manifest file. API version v1 kind secret metadata name vshopify db config secret labels secret vshopify db config secret. So these are the importance. So what are the importance? Username and db values. db values. So db values. So this is nothing but a manifest file. So this is the secret manifest file and this is the config manifest file, right? So we need a database container manifest file, right? So we need a database manifest file. So we created these two. Now we need a Microsoft SQL DB container, right? For this purpose, so we need a manifest file. We need a manifest file for this purpose. Yeah. So that reading the data from the config map and so how you can read the on reading from the data from the config map DB driver class value from config map key reference. So map key reference. So these are the two uh, config maps, config and secrets. Yeah. So reading data from the config map. Name DB driver class value from. What is that, guys? A value from config key map reference. The references are the vShopify DB config map. The key is driver name value. What is that, guys? Driver name value. What is the driver name value? This is the driver name value. And reading data from the config map, reading data from the secrets. So DB password value from secret key reference, config map key reference, and secret key reference. Secret key reference, the name of the secret key and the key of the secret key. What is the key? This is the DB password value. So these two values, DB password and DB name value, get it from the config map and secret. So the secrets and config maps are different from the each environment. So each environment. So but in the Docker image, for the creation of the Docker images, so we will provided these are the dynamic values. What is this? This is the dynamic values. So this is the dynamic values, dynamic properties. So in the code, the dynamic properties are, these are the dynamic properties. Hard coded properties are, they will automatically directly give the dynamic properties. But these are the but these are the So these are the properties. These are the properties for providing data config, reading from the data from the config map. This is the config map values. So this is the secret values. These are the secret values. Secret values. Hard coded properties. Hard coded properties means, so directly we can provide the provide the database URL, everything we will provide, right? So but in the So application properties with the environment variable. How we can provide the application properties? So the application properties provider URLs, hard coded properties. So one example you will understand, guys. The hard coded properties here directly we are providing hard coded properties, Spring data source, driver class name. So we are providing URL. So we are providing username, password. So we are providing the hard coded properties. So we don't want to provide the hard coded properties. We need to provide the So we need to provide the pass the variables, application properties with the environment variables. So driver class name, driver db driver dot com dot driver, and the db URL, this is the db URL, and the db username, this is the db password. So this is the application properties with the environment variables. Application properties with the environment variables. So Spring Boot with MySQL DB deployment using the config map and secrets. So we can use that. And so we can create a file. So something like so which one we need to create? We need to create the Kubernetes deployment, Kubernetes manifest file, right? The Kubernetes manifest file for uh, the Java web applications and Java config map. So this is right. What is this? Config maps and secrets. So these all are the config maps and secrets. Yeah, one second, guys. So tomorrow we'll show you guys. Tomorrow we'll show you the application. Yeah. So we need to create these. So we need to create these vShopify dbconfig.yaml and vShopify db secrets. So vShopify db secrets. So preview means persistent volume, dbpvs means persistent volume, db deployment file, vShopify db deployment file. This is the deployment file. This is the config map. This is the secret map. This is the volumes, and this is the application deployment file, and this is the stateful set of the YAML, guys. So these are the files we need to create. We need to create the YAML files, and then we will apply the we will apply the files, guys. We will apply the files. So tomorrow we will show you how to create this, how to create the manfig file. This is the man. So this is the DB deployment file, guys. What this is? This is a DB deployment file. So this is the DB deployment file. Yeah. So in the DB deployment file, app version, apps v1, kind deployment. So metadata, this is the DB deployment. What is the label, guys? We Shopify app DB. So we Shopify app DB, and the spec. So template metadata labels we Shopify app DB. So volumes. What is volumes, guys? Volumes is nothing but a persistent volume. So we will discuss this one, guys. Persistent volume claim. Right. The container. So this is the container of the MySQL. So this is the container of the MySQL and the volume mounts and the environment, my root password. So if you provide the hard coded value, so we are not provided the hard coded value. So we took the value from the secret key reference. What is that, guys? Secret key reference. The secret key reference. So we will provide this value. Secret key reference. Secret key reference. Yeah, secret key reference and MySQL database. So vShopify app value equal to vShopify app. The we will provide the config map references. So here config map references. Selector match labels app application. So this is the rolling update. So replicas API version service we will provide the service. So the port number is 3636 target protocol TCP selector. So this is the deployment. This is the DB deployment file, guys. What is this? So this is the DB deployment file. So DB deployment file and app deployment. What is the app deployment file? App manifest file, guys. So app manifest file. Yeah, my mouse is not working right. Yeah, so we will provide this. So this values and Spring Boot application, right? API version, API version, kind service, metadata, Spring Boot application. So what this is, guys? So API version, everything is commented, right? Yeah, everything is kind equal to service. Okay, okay. Kind equal to service. API version kind equal to service. API value, key based value. This is Spring Boot value. This is the value, right? Deployment Spring Boot MySQL, Spring Boot MySQL, Spring Boot MySQL, Spring Boot MySQL. Driver cans, secrets, steering ups, passwords, reference, type node port. Yeah, guys. So app deployment file. So this is the app deployment file, guys. So application deployment. What is application deployment? Apps v1 deployment metadata Spring Boot MySQL. Select our Spring Boot MySQL replicas one Spring Boot MySQL and the container Spring Boot MySQL RAIT Spring Boot MySQL. So the container port driver class he will be here, the name value and the so this is the config value config map and the secrets also config map schema. So and the secret reference of username value and username password. These all are the secrets and thus the config maps and the so the service file for the application. Outside of the application we need to we need to run this from the application. Yeah, so we will create a config map secrets and so db deployment and application deployment file. So we will tomorrow we will create it and we will run the application, guys. We will run the application from the tomorrow. Guys, now you understood config map and secrets. Just so we will not created the so we will not create the So we will not hard coded the values. So we will not hard coded the values. Just we will. So we will create a config map for the non-confidentials and what is that, guys? For confidential information, we need to provide the secrets and configs. Guys, now you understood secrets and configs?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So we will apply, guys. We will apply tomorrow. So we have a Spring Boot application. We have a Spring Boot application in the Docker Hub. We will download that one and so we will run this file, the deployment. Okay.
Okay, bro.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. So we'll continue from yeah, guys. So the next is auto scaling. So auto scaling is nothing but a auto scaling. It is the purpose of increasing and decreasing the infrastructure based on the demand. So auto scaling can be done in two ways: horizontal auto scaling and vertical auto scaling. So horizontal scaling means increasing the number of instances or systems. So HPA, horizontal pod scaling, vertical pod scaling. VPA means vertical pod scaling, horizontal pod scaling. HPA and VPA, horizontal pod auto scaling, vertical pod auto scaling. So in the Kubernetes, we are not using the vertical pod auto scaling. Horizontal pod auto scaler, which will scale up and down number of pods, replica set or replication controller dynamically based on the observed metrics, CPU and memory utilization. HPA will interact with the metric server to identify the CPU memory utilization of the pod. Okay. What is that? CPU memory utilization of the for production environment. For production, we will use the horizontal scaling. Horizontal scaling. Yeah, by default, metric services is not available. So metric server is an application that collect the metrics from the objects such as pods, nodes, and according to the state of the CPU, RAM and RAM and keeps them in this time. RAM and keeps them in a metric server can be installed in the system as an add-on. You can take and install directly from the repo. So you can install it and you can verify it that it is a so if the CPU memory utilization is high, then it automatically up the another server, another pod. Okay. So we'll discuss, guys. We'll show you to this config map, secret map example tomorrow, and we'll start the auto scaling. Okay.
Yeah, bro.
Okay. So we have another volumes also, Docker volumes, right? We already learned the Docker volumes. Here also we have a persistent volumes, PVs. So we'll discuss persistent volumes and we'll close this one, guys. Okay. Then we will start the Jenkins or GitLab CI/CD. Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Thank you, guys.